Good morning. Welcome to Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. My name's Lorraine. I see that my membership is creeping up. Thank you to all you new time subscribers. I really appreciate your time here and hope you enjoy yourself. And to all you old timers, thank you so much. Okay, I have a couple of books to talk to you about that were pretty high up on my anticipation list of things to do. So last time I was telling you about let me just get that so it's not glary. Hang on. It's just glary everywhere. Okay. There we go. Old Yeller by Fred Gipson, Gipson. So the last time I just mentioned I was really keen to read it because I was hoping it was a book from my childhood. And, I put it on the pile and I thought I'll get to it. And I thought, I've been waiting for over 40 years to finish this book, just finish this book. So I start in and I can tell you within the first 2-3 pages, I knew this wasn't the right book. So in terms of the book I'm trying to find, I did eventually, at the end of this book, go and research on Goodreads and Abe Books, and I just put in Bayou, how do you say that? Bayou, swampy place in the south of the U.S., and dog, and I came up with the title, Bayou, Boy, Bayou, Boy, by George Smith. And it was written in 1956, and the cover is a sort of a greenish gray cover with a boy in a like a log canoe with a paddle, and it's in the swampy stuff. So everything's kind of right. But then I take a look further in, and it's about a teenage boy and getting into scrapes, and I'm thinking, no, there's no way that would have been what I was reading in grade 3 or even in grade 5, which is when I remember reading this book. So although all the images and the names and everything seems right, the story matter just doesn't seem like it's the right thing. And also, just to add a little bit of flavor to the whole story, is these were both Catholic schools, so there had to have been some kind of moral overtone, or they wouldn't have let us read it. I think I might follow through and read that book just out of curiosity, but I'm pretty sure it's not what I was searching for. And this book, Old Yeller, so many people said, oh, it's so sad, you're not going to want to read it. It's like spoiler, here's a spoiler, skip ahead if you don't want the spoiler. The dog dies at the end. This book didn't sing for me in any kind of a way. And by the time we get to the dog's death at the end, I was indifferent to the dog. I was indifferent to the family. I was indifferent to the boy who sort of owned the dog. I felt a bit bad. I mean, it was kind of a sad way that the dog died. But up until then, I just thought the dog was a mean killer. The boy was part of his culture. His culture is not it's hard scrabble culture that they've got going there. They can't afford to be very sentimental about too much. So just everything that happened, it was just a hard scrape of a lifestyle that they had. And I didn't feel tender about anything. And even the little boy who is the younger brother of our main protagonist, who is Travis. Even though that kid was kind of amusing from time to time, he was also just a little scab on a knee, really, running around screaming. I didn't buy into any of the characters, and I for sure didn't buy into the dog. And I don't think it was just disappointment that I hadn't achieved the book I was really looking for. I think I just really didn't enjoy this book. Now, it is a Newbery Honor winner. So yeah, it's well written. It really draws the the area where the family is living, and it does draw you have a very clear picture of each of the characters in the books and their adventures and so on. But no, I really just I didn't enjoy this book. I think some people would really love it. I think that the people who read it when they were kids remember it with more nostalgia because of the ending than the book itself warrants. It does work for middle grade March if you want to pick it up at the library. It seems to be still available. Well, we were talking about that. My girlfriend is a retired librarian, and she was just saying how very difficult to get a lot of the old classics in the Halifax library, and I think in Nova Scotia in general, that a lot of the old good books, question mark there, but a lot of the good books are very hard to find because they either have become damaged or not returned, or for some reason they're not on the shelves. And I don't remember what book we were talking about that. I think it was The Painted Veil by Somerset Maugham that we were talking about, and we were, Googling it because we were suggesting it for a book club book, and it's not on the shelves at the Halifax Library, and so we were looking, well, maybe we have to get it through the university libraries, but that just generated the conversation that a lot of really good old books just aren't on the shelves the way they used to be. Well, the other big anticipated book for me that I was planning to read for the last 2 years, actually, is Mark Twain's The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. And I think this is my husband's. I'm not sure whose copy this is, but I don't remember it being. It doesn't matter. It's a sweet little copy. It's falling apart on the spine, and it's just the perfect size. This is a size that was really popular for so many years. It's just perfect for your hands, and the printing is quite close to the margin lines. That's a tiny bit of a problem for those of us with weakening eyes, and the print is awfully small. So. Why was I keen on this? First of all, this is a book that I really enjoyed. I've read this is about my fourth, I'd say it's my fourth reading. And I just have never unloved it. And I was reading it this time and still laughing and still finding things of curiosity in the book. And for those of you who don't know, we've got Huckleberry Finn, who is traveling down the river on a raft. And there he is. And he has got the slave of his foster caregiver who has run away, an enslaved person named Jim. And yes, this book contains the N-word, but it was also written when that was the language of the time. So when was it written originally? It doesn't say here. But Mark Twain, that puts it that's a fairly old book, certainly over 100 years. And why did I love it? It wasn't because I enjoyed reading that particular word. That was kind of not nice. But I loved Huckleberry Finn. He's just got this sense of life that's very much not of the average person. He's really on the other side of the tracks, if you can still say that. He's got a very deep attachment to nature and to the river and just to life in general. He doesn't really, if he's got cigars and a pot to fry his fish in, he's pretty happy. He likes a bit of clothing. He doesn't like to go naked. But on the other hand, many's a time he and Jim jump into the Mississippi River and just sit on the raft and dry off for the rest of the day and don't put their clothes on. So he's just a really fun kid. He's continually struggling with the notion of helping Jim to escape because he feels that morally this is absolutely the wrong thing to do. But on the other hand, Jim has helped him out of a few scrapes, and so they've got this building friendship. And as the river trek goes past, Jim is making more of an impact on Huckleberry's life than Huckleberry realizes, and every time Jim gets into a scrape, then Huck really feels compelled to help Jim out of it. He's not going to let Jim become captured by anybody else, I guess, in a way. And he avoids the question of freedom for quite a long time. They bump into a couple of characters along the way, which I had forgotten went on for so long. So these characters are called the King and the Duke, and they are just really, really skilled ne'er-do-wells. They have got a scheme up their sleeve for just about any kind of way to swindle people out of money. And a couple of times they actually make a fair chunk of money, and no, they're not satisfied with that. They've got to go to the next town and see if they can swindle even more money out of it. And their schemes for getting people to give them money are very convoluted. And the King, I remember it quite definitely when I read it in high school. I felt that the King at that time was more of a voice of conscience. I just remember that being a discussion point. And how his dialogue with Huck would help Huck to come to sort of a higher moral position about abolition ideals and so forth. The King just goes on. I didn't find it this time. A couple of times I was so impatient with him that I skipped some of his monologues. So I'm not sure whether that was a 1970s interpretation of the book from the English department's point of view, or whether it's valid. I'm not sure. This time when I read it, I couldn't separate the King from his incredible infatuation with his own voice and his determination to just carry on at length about just about anything. I mean, he could just swing in any direction and go with the flow. And so, I mean, he had no moral compass. He had, he's like a compass that's just going around without a magnet, really. And the Duke is not much better, but he's more of a foil to the King, and sort of acts as the prop that the King needs in order to get away with his schemes. So as we're going downriver, we're really, really spending a lot of time with the King, and Huck and Jim finally get fed up, but it takes them a while to extricate themselves from this couple. So then we next come to the tail end of the book, and Tom Sawyer and Huck are reunited. Jim has been captured, and they're just waiting for, I guess they've sent a letter to the widow to say, we've got your enslaved person, and what do you want to do about it? So he's kind of in a holding pen. So Huck and Tom come up with this plan to get Jim out of this trouble. And Tom's all into it. Like, he's got this great, incredible scheme. I mean, Huck's going, well, if we peel off the board on the window and we can slip through, we can be out of here in minutes. And Tom's got a scheme that's so convoluted, and I was a little impatient with that. And it was all about Tom's intense imagination, where he's finally got this situation where he has got this person who's literally trapped in this holding pen, and Huck, who's trapped in, he needs a partner to get Jim free. So Huck has to comply with everything that Tom comes up with. And it just becomes more and more crazy, and he's taken all the adventure books that he's ever read, and I mean, the only thing that's missing is Robin Hood and his merry men, and if he'd come across that book, I'm sure he would have tried to incorporate it too. So it's just very, very involved, and ends up taking weeks as opposed to one night. I was a tiny bit tired of Tom by the end, and partly because I was rushing to get this done for today, so I rushed the last 80 pages. But I still really loved it because Tom's imagination is so fevered. He keeps coming up with just another ingredient and another ingredient, and Yeah, I'm sure Jim was just banging his head against the logs, just going, oh my God, like we could be out of here, but he's not going to contradict two white kids. And he doesn't know that he's actually been freed by the widow who freed him in her will when she died. So that's the reason Tom's all into it. He knows he's freeing a free person. So, it's like to him, it's like this is just another game. So yes, I still really, really enjoyed this book. And in the time when I said that I wanted to read this about 2.5 years ago, we've got the book that has been published, James. I'll write the author's name down in the doobly-doo below because I don't remember it off the top of my head. I wasn't expecting that. And so initially I thought, oh, that would be really cool to read this book and this new book, James, one after the other and just see how they go. And James is in hardcover, and I've put in an order for softcover. So I can't actually do that compare and contrast piece until the softcover comes in the fall sometime. In the meantime, this book has shot to the tops of the charts. I have no idea whether it's on merit or just, how some books, I won't say them, I've got 3 in my head that I absolutely detest that shot to the tops of the charts and I thought were garbage. But I hope James is not suffering from that same fate where everybody's going, oh, it's so great, and it's not. So fingers crossed that in the fall my curiosity will be satisfied. Okay, in the meantime, someone asked me whether I had finished this book and what I thought of it, and they did not finish it. So this is, I got this, I knew it was going to be on my book club's to-do list, supposed to be in the summer. And I think the lineup for this book at the library is over 400 holds, and I know the audiobook is, the audiobook has a shorter waiting list, but I can't do audiobooks, it's always a fail. So I thought I'll just buy this book, and we've decided to do it earlier, so I don't really have the summer to read it. So I should have it read in 7 days, and for whoever was asking, I should have an answer soon. And I can also let you know what the book club thinks of it eventually. This is the month of Middlemarch, where a lot of people are focusing on middle grade March, reading the middle grade books. So for those of you who love middle grade, and this is a public service announcement, Philip Reeve, who wrote Mortal Engines, which was a really interesting series about, I'm going to say it's about 8 or so years ago, pretty sure. He has written a new book called Thunder City, and it's a prequel. The Mortal Engines was a post-apocalyptic steampunk series and this book opens up 200 years earlier than the Mortal Engines series did. So if you enjoy prequels and you enjoyed Philip Reeve, now I'm going to see if I can get you the cover of the book. So there, that's not too bad. Yeah, that's what it looks like. And it is for middle grade readers, and I believe you can also get it as an ebook. And it's a starred book. That means the Hornbook editors and publishers are giving it sort of an extra good wallop. They think it's pretty Shazam. Now, the other one that I thought some people might really like is called The Lost Winds. And this is part of the Moonwind mystery series, and it has a pair of detectives in the 1880s, and one is a 12-year-old orphan from Mika from Stockholm's public children's home, and police detective Valdemar Hoff investigate the disappearance of a wealthy family's teenage daughter. And It is translated from from Swedish, so I think it's also taking place in Sweden. And this also got really good reviews, but it is not the first in the series. So my recommendation, I'll show you the picture of the book that's currently being reviewed. I think this might be a fun series. I'm going to look it up, see if I can get book 1. And yeah, I think that'll be a fun thing to do. I haven't put any real focus into middle grade March this year. I found I'm just in a little bit of a hurry and a scurry for other book club things that I have to do, so I don't want to fall behind in that. I think that's it for me today. I hope all your reading dreams and adventures continue to come true, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye for now.